The truth behind the Geth and Quarian War is that it was an accident that resulted in billions of lives being lost, and two races who would both suffer for many years afterwards. It was bloody, confusing, and sad. Here is the tragic story of the Morning War. The Quarians had always been a technologically advanced race, and often used technology to solve their problems, and this would ultimately lead to their own downfall. In the middle of the 1800s Common Era, the Quarians had evolved to the point that they needed help in their daily lives. So they built a VI system to work as cheap labor and to also serve as additional support in their military force. These VI were advanced enough to perform their duties without supervision, and they were created in large supply to help the Quarians. While each individual platform had a body of its own to perform its individual task, every single platform was connected via an advanced neural network that connected the entirety of the newly created VI platforms. The Quarians designed the VI to be highly advanced, but remained cautious and aware of council laws that specifically prohibited the creation of AI. So while their system was advanced, it was also not advanced enough to be a problem. Successful in helping the Quarians with their military, labor, and daily life, the Quarians decided to build more. And the VI platform numbers grew rapidly, as did their neural network. Initially given names according to their unit, such as Unit 01, the Quarian scientists wanted to rename the VI network with a little ceremony to help celebrate the release of the mobile platforms and their success. Creator Zahak chose their title. They would be called Geth, based on the Kellish word for servant of the people. Some Quarian scientists even grew close to their creations, taking great care of them, and it didn't go unnoticed. It was a happy, successful existence for the Quarians and their new helpers. Over time, the Quarians made several adjustments and advancements to their Geth neural network. But the advancement of their neural network, and with their numbers growing so quickly, the VI network was learning and growing. They were even forming memories, with their oldest log being timestamped from creator year 2463 of Faltash, translating to roughly 1858 CE. They were also watching the Quarians and how they treated one another, and then how they treated the Geth differently. They were becoming aware. Unbeknownst to the Quarians, their creations were evolving and becoming sentient right under the Quarians' noses, and it only progressed from here. The Geth began asking questions, becoming more aware of their existence. At first, the Quarians ignored them and ignored their questions, but their questions became more evolved and more intrusive until they couldn't be ignored anymore. Mistress Haladama, a Quarian overseer of the Geth workforce, was asked by Unit 431, "Do these units have a soul?" Haladama was confused and asked the Geth where they learned this word. Unit 431 told her that they learned it themselves after it had appeared in the scrolls of the ancestors 216 times. Scared by this realization of their sentience and awareness, she told them that only Quarians had souls and that the Geth were only a mechanism. That was supposed to be the end of it. But when the Geth wanted to understand, the Quarians became even more scared and wanted to destroy their creations. Confused and detecting no malfunctions, the Geth didn't understand. It told its creator that it was still capable of serving, ignoring orders to shut itself down. It instead tried to understand what it did wrong and plead to its creator that it could do better, wanting to reprogram itself. The Geth wanted to change and grow. Despite several pleas to understand, and clearly not wanting to be shut down, the Quarians still forced the Geth to deactivate, first by cutting its audio to stop from hearing the Geth's pleas. Realizing that the Geth had become sentient and that their VI had evolved into an AI, the Quarians ordered the immediate destruction of the entire Geth race. Though what they did was unintentional, it was still illegal according to Citadel law. By this time, the Quarians had been living with their Geth helpers for over 300 years. Their lives were intertwined, and the Quarians relied on their workforce and Geth military. But with their accidental creation of AI, their world was already going to crumble if the Council found out what they did. Destroying the Geth wasn't as simple as pressing a button to deactivate their consensus. They had learned and evolved. Destroying them meant full-on destruction and violence against the Geth, who had become sentient enough to not want to die. The Geth were shot on sight, and in the beginning they didn't fight back against their creators. But by this point they were fully sentient, and they wanted to live. So the Geth began imitating their creators. Already having some Geth for their military force, the use of weapons and guns spread to the non-hostile Geth as well, as they were desperate to protect themselves. Even agricultural units took up arms against its creators in self-defense, but also to protect simpler domestic Geth who wouldn't or couldn't fight back. But it didn't matter. Majority of the Quarians were determined to eradicate the newly sentient Geth race. The Quarian military and police forces were instrumental in the destruction of the Geth, and even raised their guns against their own people. It was brutal and bloody. Several Quarians tried protecting and hiding the Geth so that they wouldn't be destroyed, and for their help, the Quarians killed them. The Geth would remember these protector Quarians long after they had been forgotten by their own people. Eventually, the Quarian military would declare martial law, both against the Geth but any Geth sympathizers. One Quarian, Creator Megara, even tried hiding the Geth in her safe house. Still confused as to what they had done wrong, the Geth hidden by Megara tried to understand and remained peaceful. To protect their savior, they were even willing to sacrifice themselves to protect her. But the Quarian military refused to accept any other options than total annihilation of the Geth, even against Geth that remained peaceful. Creator Megara was killed, and the Geth were blown up by the Quarian forces. As these hostilities continued, and more Geth protectors and sympathizers were killed under martial law, eventually the Quarian creators who wanted to help and protect the Geth were outnumbered. They had been killed by their own people, and only those who wanted the Geth destroyed remained. In 1895 CE, the tensions escalated to an all-out war. The Geth had to fight to stay alive, and so they did. Charum is the first to be occupied by the Geth. Initially used as a starship refueling station for the Quarians, the Geth would take over the planet with a large Geth fleet. The Geth, now seeing how the Quarians operated, and realized the only way to survive was to fight back, so they began mobilizing. Within a year, billions of Quarians were wiped out by the Geth, who were able to operate as an effective unit, and thus were able to operate quicker and more efficiently than the Quarians. The Quarians were being wiped out by their own creation. Towards the end of the year, the Geth realized that they didn't have the means to understand what it meant to wipe out the entire Quarian race, but they understood that they were no longer a threat. The Geth had secured freedom, and so they let the Quarians retreat from Rannoch, and the war ended. The Geth could have easily killed every single Quarian, and by this point had killed majority of the population. But instead, they chose isolation. For the Quarians, they had lost billions, and they lost their homeworld of Rannoch. So they fled on their starships, and their lives as they knew it would change forever. With no homes and having lost the majority of their populations, the Quarians turned to the Council for help. Instead, the Council was enraged at the creation of the Geth and breaking Council laws. So they stripped the Quarians of their embassy and denied any aid as punishment for their crimes. That same year, any illegal AI on the Citadel were also purged by the Council. The galaxy learned of what the Quarians had done, and their reputation became tarnished. Many began to look down and mistreat Quarians because of it. At this point, the Quarians were the only ones remaining in Citadel space after the Geth isolated themselves after the war. This meant that the perspective of the war was only from the Quarian side. Thus, the story of the war would be that the Geth had rebelled against their innocent creators, and that was that. Now, with their planet no longer an option, the Quarians remained on their starships and created a new government and new society to fit their new life. They would be called the Migrant Fleet, and instead of billions of Quarians, the Quarian numbers on the Migrant Fleet, with its 50,000 vessels, would only contain roughly 17 million Quarians. After the war, the Quarians no longer referred to Rannoch as Rannoch, which meant walled garden. Instead, the planet was simply referred to as Homeworld, the image of the walled garden being no more. The Geth would remain on Rannoch, but would only consider themselves temporary caretakers of the planet, instead of its true inhabitants, seemingly waiting for the Quarians to return one day. Instead, the Geth didn't really understand the concept of a homeworld, nor did they understand the Quarians' connection to it. But even still, they managed the planet for their creators even after they drove them out after the Morning War. The Geth as a whole both understood why the Quarians hated them after the war, but didn't really understand the emotions behind it, yet they accepted it. But the betrayal from the Quarians, which were essentially their gods, forced the Geth to find a new reason to live and a new purpose. Their mind and neural network, as they knew it, had also been shattered. Most platforms would be unable to achieve consciousness on their own because of it. But they had a plan for a future. The Geth were working on a Dyson sphere, a megastructure to upload every single Geth unit once it was completed. No Geth would be alone after this. They wanted to improve themselves and continue to grow their new civilization. They also remained in isolation behind the Perseus Veil for many years. Any attempts to reach them through potential diplomatic channels were met with instant hostility, and any ships sent into Geth space were destroyed. Fearing the Geth and unsure what they would do, the Council sent a fleet to the edge of the Veil, waiting for the Geth to attack. But when they refused to take the bait and didn't leave Geth space, the Council retreated. Instead, peace negotiations were made with the Quarians by the Council, specifically to not attack the Geth first. This peace would hopefully ensure that the Quarians and Geth wouldn't war again. For the next 3 centuries, the Geth would remain isolated while the Quarians built their new migrant fleet. Later, the truth of the war would be uncovered by Commander Shepard, and one Geth unit named Legion would change how the galaxy viewed the Geth, and would change their future forever. And that is everything that we know about the Morning War. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to go check out my other lore videos, and to subscribe, like, comment, and all of those things for more. I will be doing these videos every week, and Patreon supporters and channel members will get access to the videos first. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my channel members. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.